welcome back. On today's video, we're talking about getting rich, but not necessarily doing it in a one-hit wonder or a massive kind of way that only the 1% or only the very few will actually have occur in their lives. We're talking about how everyone can do it. Now, Scott Galloway is a gentleman who talks a lot about getting rich. He is part of a consultancy. He's got a long track record, and whether you agree with him or not, the advice he gives in this video on the Diary of a CEO Clips is very true, very timely, and very valuable. So let's watch a little bit of this, and then we'll talk about what he's mentioning, how it applies to real life. Let's go.
I remember my best friend Lee Lotus picking me up to go to the beach when I was in college, and he was scrambling to find $2,000 to put it into something called an IRA Roth, where his company, a bank he was working for, he was just out of college, if he found $2,000, they would match it with another $2,000. I said to him,
now, if you have an employer that's willing to match money, take it. As long as you're able to feed yourself, pay your bills, take those matches from your companies in investment funds because it's free money and it's an instant return on your investment, generally between a 50 to a 100% return. That's phenomenal. Let's keep going.
Exact words. If $2,000 means anything to me when I'm older, shoot me. I have made so much more money than Lee Lotus. And he is a multimillionaire now, so am I. But I've endured a lot more risk and a lot more ups and downs because he was that lame guy scraping together $2,000 when he was 23.
The thing you find is a lot of rich people got rich boring. They didn't do massive things. They didn't go out and conquer something or conquer an industry. They took the steps slowly and then allowed compound interest to do its thing.
I went out and spent my first bonus check at Morgan Stanley. I got $28,000 my first year out of college, Morgan Stanley. $28,000 check. I go out and I buy a $35,000 BMW, hung swim goggles from the rear view mirror thinking that would impress people. I don't know what I was doing. I figured out if I had bought a Hyundai for $9,000, which you could get in 1987 or whatever it is, and invested the other 20 in SPY, never looked at it again, I would have enough money now to buy 11 Ferraris.
That, when he said it, was shocking to me. $35,000, if he had taken that money and invested it instead, and spent still a good amount of money 30 years ago on a car, $9,000, which you can even get a car cheaper now, of course, he would have had enough money to buy 11 Ferraris. So I wanted to take a look at that a little bit. So the first thing is, what does the average American spend on a car? Well, the average American on a new car, $48,284, used car, $27,058. Now, there's a lot of cars less expensive than that out there. This is people going to a dealership and buying the car they want, apparently, and those numbers are shocking when you look at the amount of debt people have. So let's take a look real quick. What are the average interest rates on cars? And this is from nerdwallet.com. If you are super prime, between a 781 and 850, you're going to get somewhere between 5.25 and 7.13, all the way down into subprime, where you'll get 15.77 to 21.55% on a car. Dang, that's a lot of money. Okay, so if we were to go out and buy, let's take the average new car, $48,284. Let's just round that down to $48,000. The average interest rate on a new car for super prime is 5.25%. So we've got that plugged in at 5.25%. Let's do 66 months because that is a common term. Of course, you can go a lot longer than that. On your down payment, let's say you put $2,000 down, of course in Texas, and I just picked Texas because it was already selected, 6.25% interest rate. Your monthly payments on that bad boy are going to be $803 per month. $803 per month. So let's take that, let's hop over into a investing calculator. Let's say you are starting at $0. Let's say you're investing this for 30 years. Your rate of return, we're going to put it at 8%, and we'll bump it up here in a second. And your additional contribution per month, let's say it was what you would have here, $803.94. Contributing at the beginning of each month, because you'd have to make your car payments at the beginning of each month, calculate. At the end of 30 years, that is $1.1 million. That's a lot of money. Let's make it worse. Let's take the average return of the S&P 500, which is actually, depending on which thing you look at, around 10%. Calculate. Now you're at $1.6 million. And that's if everything goes right, if you have a great interest rate and everything else. So let's take a look at the other scenario, 27,058. 27,058. And we have to bump the interest rate up because we're looking at a used car, 7.13%. 7.13%. Let's say you can get into that car with $1,000 down. Your car payment is still $478, significantly less and well worth taking a look at. But let's go plug that in, $478.44. 30 years at a 10% return, you still have $994,000 that you just spent on your cars instead of your life. 30 years, if you start at 20, in 30 years you will be 50. At 50, you still have a lot of runway ahead of you, and that car, that decision to buy a car, could almost fund your retirement. That's scary. Now, there's a lot of less expensive cars you can get, of course. You can go out and spend $5,000 on a car. Instead of trading that car in every 2 to 3 to 4 years like most people do, keep it for 10. If you get a Toyota or a Honda or something that you can make last for a few 100,000 miles, if the average American drives, let's say, 12,000 miles per year, let's times that by 10, that would be 120,000 miles on your car if you keep it for 10 years. So if you buy a car that has 50, 60, 70,000 miles on it, Toyotas regularly go into the 200,000 and 300,000 mile range. You would easily be able to keep that car for that long with minimal maintenance. And even better yet, if you learn how to do basic maintenance on your own, such as oil changes and brakes and things like that, you can save yourself an insane amount of money. And I'm not exaggerating when I say an insane amount of money. When you look at $994,000 that you could save for retirement by investing in simple index funds and moving at your own pace, it's a reality that most people can achieve. So something good that I thought it was great advice from Scott Galloway. Other people, of course, give similar advice. Do your research, find out how to save the money, and then invest that money in yourself, and your future self will thank you. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please like the video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you know someone who needs this type of video, please consider sharing. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one.